Hello, everyone. Metalman556 here. I want to bring this story to you from All News Pipeline. November 12th, 2015. We are living in a nightmare, turned into a nation of zombies incapable of seeing what's happening right in front of their very eyes. From the large percentage of Americans prescribed psychotropic drugs to the amount of toxic chemicals being pumped into infants before they're even old enough to walk, the fact that 97% of our kids under age 4 are already using mobile devices, with 75% of 4-year-olds having smartphones, according to one study. We are literally watching generation after generation being turned into zombies, which is totally true. All these people on the street that I talk to, I try to wake them up to current information about what's really going on, and they just don't give a fuck, or they don't believe it, because CNN, Fox, fucking sports, and all that stupid shit on that idiot tube have people so brainwashed, it's incredible. Continuing on. The proof of that assertion can be seen just by looking around you, at your neighbors, their children, in your grocery and department stores, on the local and national news. Perhaps the best evidence is that only a small percentage of the population seem to be genuinely concerned at the changes happening in America right before their very eyes. America Police State USSA. There is no pushback against local law enforcement becoming so militarized that the sight of a battlefield MRAP used in wars abroad being driven down the streets of America has become a common sight. We see people very concerned and disturbed about the constant unconventional warfare military training exercises being conducted not on military sites, but in states all across the country, marginalized and called conspiracy theorists by those that claim nothing to see here, move along. We see no united outrage over Congress allowing a president to rule by fiat and unconstitutional executive orders, bypassing the checks and balances put in place by our founding fathers in order to prevent a tyrannical government. We see free speech being labeled as hate speech, and Americans that step up and speak out officially labeled as extremists, declared to be more dangerous than terrorist groups such as ISIS. Insane. Insane, man. We see a state freaked out by an unannounced missile test conducted by the military in a show of force, with those terrified that war had begun on U.S., stating, "We thought everyone in L.A. was going to die." In the meantime, the government waves away what amounts to terrorizing their own citizens by saying they didn't warn the public because they do not announce tests ahead of time in order to tip off U.S. adversaries who might want to watch and learn. Whatever, man. This stupid fucking lies, and people eat this shit up like it's broccoli and cheese. Fucking idiots. Expanded domestic surveillance. Authorities openly spying on Americans using their search history, electronic devices, and other means, all pointing to a nation that is already living in tyranny. Yet the midless masses continue to call America free. U.S. leaders taking us into World War III. The U.S. makes its public policy to support the overthrow of duly elected leaders in the Middle East, in Libya, Ukraine, and now Syria, just to name a few. While those that take action against the U.S. for doing so are labeled aggressors, with the zombie public mimicking them at every turn. We have acknowledgement by our politicians that the U.S. has financed one of the most dangerous terror groups in existence today, ISIS, a group that is slaughtering Christians across the globe, beheading journalists, burning pilots in cages, and allegedly executing Syrian children. Yet we see no public outrage by Americans that are too busy worrying about football and fucking television shows. The U.S. is tweaking both China and Russia, causing some to wonder seriously if Washington isn't only preparing for World War III, but is actually instigating it. And the majority of the American populace sleep right through it all. Economy and the recovery illusion is exactly what it is. It's a fucking illusion. While the mainstream media hypes the low unemployment rates and continue to push recovery illusions, there are 94,513,000 people not in the labor force, which means that at the lowest point in 38 years. In January of 2015, addressing the Department of Health and Human Services annual report on welfare indicators and risk factors, Terrence P. Jeffrey is the editor-in-chief of CNS News, put out a town hall column which explained that there are now more people on welfare in the United States than there are those working a full-time job. And that's sad. In 2013, according to the Census Bureau, there were 105,862,000 full-time year-round workers in the United States, including 16,685,000 full-time government workers. These full-time workers were outnumbered by the 109,631,000 who the Census Bureau says were getting benefits from means-tested federal programs, welfare, as the of the fourth quarter of 2012. On November 5th, 2015, it was reported that as the suspicion of the nation's debt limit, we saw an unprecedented one-day record increase of $339.1 billion with a B. This gave Obama yet another legacy, one he won't be touting under his achievement list. Obama will nearly have doubled the national debt by the end of this term. Think about it. America have incurred nearly the same amount of debt under Obama as it's had under every other president in history combined. He is purposely tearing this country down. He's a Muslim, he's the terrorist, and he needs to be brought to fucking justice. Mr. Obama's spending agreement with Congress will suspend the national's debt limit and allow the Treasury to borrow another $1.5 trillion or so by the end of the presidency in 2017, added to the current total national debt of more than $18.15 trillion. The red ink will likely be crowded the 20 trillion mark right around the time Mr. Obama leaves the White House. That's if he leaves. When Mr. Obama took over in January 2009, the total national debt stood at $10.6 trillion. That means the debt will have nearly doubled during his 8 years in office, and there is much more debt ahead with the abandonment of sequestrian spending caps enacted in 2011. The dumbing down of America. We have said time and time again that readers and those commenting are the best source to accurately depict what is happening across the nation, telling us what is going on in their neighborhoods, their towns, cities, and states. The news is not good. In fact, what we are bearing witness to is the total destruction of America. The damage done by not only the psychotropic drugs, which are described by medicine.net as drugs affecting the mind, emotions, and behaviors, but the unbelievable percentage of children under the age of 4 that have already had their hands buried in electronic devices or playing video games, in conjunction with the toxic cocktail hidden in the vaccines pumped into them before they can even walk, can be seen in their actions, their attitude, the increases in criminal behavior. It isn't only children, though, as we see that 69% of people of all ages are being prescribed as antidepressants and so forth and so on. This is insane. I'll put this in the description below. We got to get the word out, people. We've got to spread the word and let these people know what's going on. We got to wake them up. Leave your comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. This is Metal Man out.